Hi, everybody. My name is Alan Soldovsky. I'm Director of Creative Writing at San Jose State University and the executive producer of the 2021 Legacy of Poetry Festival that we're calling Closing the Distance, Sheltering in Technologies. I hope everyone is continuing to stay safe and well at home and viewing this Zoom edition of the annual Legacy of Poetry Festival celebration. I'm going to be your announcer and the second MC for this evening's reading. For further information about SJSU Legacy of Poetry Festival events, go to the URL that's shown on the screen and is also that we put into the chat, or follow the SJSU Legacy of Poetry Festival on social media. Before I introduce the first of this evening's two MCs, the second being me, and the first being Keenan Norris, let me thank the sponsors who have made the SJSU Legacy of Poetry Festival possible. The 2021 SJSU Legacy of Poetry Festival, Closing the Distance, Sheltering in Technologies, is produced by the Poets and Writers Coalition and the Creative Writing Program at San Jose State University. We also want to thank the following groups and organizations for these readings and special events to have made these readings and special events possible. Our principal sponsor is the SJSU Poets and Writers Coalition in association with the Associated Students of San Jose State, who has provided us with funding that has made these events work. Additional support is provided by the SJSU English and Comparative Literature Department, the Diasporic People's Writing Collective, Read Magazine, and Poetry Center San Jose in association with Poets and Writers, Inc. Our co-sponsors of the 2021 San Jose State Legacy Poetry Festival include City Lights Books, Copper Canyon Press, Noemi Press, University of Pittsburgh Press, and Poetry Flash, the literary review and calendar for the West. And a special thanks to those on the Legacy of Poetry Festival Zoom production and marketing teams who provided invaluable support and assistance behind the scenes. Clifton Gold, special events producer in the University Advancement Office, and also video engineer coordinators Keith Sanders, Terry Graziani, and Juan Cerna. And to Rebecca Lee, president of the Poets and Writers Coalition. Thank you for giving your time and energy to make it possible for us at San Jose State to celebrate National Poetry Month during the COVID-19 pandemic. Before I go to prepare for my own reading in today's program, I want to introduce my MFA program faculty colleague, Keenan Norris. Keenan is a novelist, essayist, and short story writer. Keenan was a 2017 Marin Headlands Artist in Residence and has garnered a Public Voices Fellowship from this last year, a Callaloo Fellowship in 2016, and two Yerba Buena Center for the Arts Fellowships in 2017 and 2015. He serves as a guest editor for the Oxford African American Studies Center. He's also editor of the Seminole Street Lit, representing the urban landscape. Keenan's next novel, The Confessions of Copeland Kane, which is being published by the Unnamed Press, goes out in June. And now let me turn things over to today's first MC, my friend and colleague, Keenan Norris.
Thanks, Alan. Our first reader is Mustafa Jalal, who earned his PhD in poetry from Georgia State University, where he studied under the direction of David Bottoms, Beth Gillis, and the late Leon Stokesbury. Often containing a narrative voice and style, his poems and publications have appeared in the James Dickey Review, the Eudora Welty Review, Green Acres, Last Word, and many other journals.
So this first poem that I'll be reading is titled The Laundryman. The news channel blares its breaking information of homemade videos captured on cell phone cameras from the latest tragedy while I load my whites into the washer on delicate. I, the laundryman, through and through, clean my shirts, towels, and handkerchiefs. The kettle on the stove cries from the view of a broken down mother with her life leaving 5-year-old draped across her slender chest, while I fold the darks into the dryer on tumble. I, the laundryman, tried and true, clean my slacks, but I'm careful too, hand pat the velvety, sensitive vests. The deep, hot oven beeps while I change the channel. News of Juno's final engine burst, throttling into Jupiter's orbit. A hurl of hope for future men and women who make it through. And I, the laundryman, full of blue, cleanse my thoughts on delicate. And this next poem that I'll be reading is titled Silent Sunsets. It seems now that we have all become numb to the hundreds and thousands of voices we will never again hear, faces we will never again see in public, smiles that surprised us on birthdays, hands that prayed with us on Thanksgivings, lips keeping the secret gifts every Christmas. No, it seems that the news is never really breaking anymore. Not when it comes to this. And it makes me wonder, when did it become okay to just accept that today we will lose 2,000 lives? Tomorrow, another, and more after that. Life, without the ones you love, is emptier than a public beach during shelter in place. And the lives of those lost go quieter into the night than the now silent sunsets in yards and cul-de-sacs where children once freely played, laughing and screaming.
All right. And our next reader is Johnny Dam. Johnny Dam is the author of The Science of Things Familiar, named by the Publishers Weekly Critics Poll as one of the best graphic novels of 2017, as well as Failure Biographies, forthcoming from the Operating System this summer. His comics, prose, and visual poetry have appeared in Guernica, Poetry, The Offing, Diagram, and elsewhere.
Thanks for having me. I'll start today by showing a visual poem. And this, I think, touches upon the theme of this year's festival. I call this virtual community. All right. And now I'd like to share a short piece from my upcoming book, Failure Biographies, which comes out this summer. This is a piece on the Argentinian artist Marta Menuhin and a project she attempted in the 1970s. Just a quick note, all the words you see here in speech bubbles are Marta Minuhin's own. She said them. Her here. Marta Minuhin writes a letter. I write to you because I have an idea to be made with hamburgers. The United States is falling down. All the cities are falling down. The artist makes a proposal. What is vertical becomes horizontal. Minuhin asked the McDonald's Corporation to fund and participate in her next project. To destroy institutions, myths, and symbols, to create replicas of popular idols. The idea will be to have another Statue of Liberty lying down in Battery Park. The year is 1972, and the people would walk in it. McDonald's would come and cover with pre-cooked hamburgers the whole Statue of Liberty. Then the firemen would come and grill it. And then from a helicopter, ketchup would be thrown and bread. The moment one person eats a hamburger from the Statue of Liberty, it becomes culturalized. And the Statue of Liberty, eaten by the people, would disappear, but stay in the popular memory, in the imaginary world, where all things never disappear. We are entering the third millennium. We have to do something to demystify those myths, all those universal myths. And to demystify the myth, really, the people have to eat the myth. This is why I write, to ask if you think it is possible that McDonald's will sponsor my project. I went to the Statue of Liberty and took measurements. I worked 1 year doing drawings. But then the mayor of New York forbade it, saying the food could be poisoned and so on. I could not do it. But I would like to create. Time does not exist. The ideas are always there, and you can do it. We can keep in touch. I hope to hear from you soon. The end. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Johnny. Our next reader is Kate Lycurgus. Kate Lycurgus's poetry has appeared or is forthcoming in Best American Poetry 2020, American Poetry Review, Tin House, Boston Review, Best New Poets 2019, and elsewhere. Her collection, Grace Notes, was a finalist for the 2020 National Poetry Series. She was named one of Narrative's 30 Under 30 featured writers. Kate is a lecturer in the SJSU College of Business, where she teaches professional writing.
My name is Kate Lycurgus, and I have a few poems today for Legacy of Poetry Day. So I'm a big letter writer, and even before the pandemic, I corresponded with a number of dear hearts by mail, and I've continued that through the past year. More and more, though, I've come to realize that everything has its limits, language included, when it comes to bridging distance. So this is insufficient. Insufficient. We make amends with letter writing, a sympathy note, report of a son's height marked on the door to his father serving time. And check for word, days and Sundays, the red flag stays erect. I tell someone I'll write you a letter, and what I'm saying is I don't know where to put my hands. Penmanship stretches thinner and thinner as though I could switch to wire, wave, light, a light beneath your skin. I want the letter reminding me to not forget lotion first, that you keep my hair tie around your wrist, snapping it all the time so as to stun yourself back from ghost. where both of us stepped to the parking garage, bodies pressed against concrete. Here we are, entrapped. Where is the letter for no going back of a two-step grown too big, our motion that needs all caps? With hunger, the only certain post one cannot keep or keep away, it's sealed. We've ruined taste. And as ways of being in the world become more possible, hopefully, I want to be intentional about savoring the present. Too often, I push something off until tomorrow or held back for some better time. And so my new refrain is no refrain. This is refrain. It was stunning at the bodega. Rain all night, then steam lifting from white tents as they stood. The coffee gargled on. With an ice cube, I watered tomorrow's orchid, pressed tomorrow's dress. Her shirtwaist hung, elbows cuffed, next to tomorrow's belt. I was always waiting for her to get up so I could get on with it. On the steps, I skimmed tomorrow's news. Wasn't tough enough to admit tomorrow is more of the same. Abstaining, I let the iron cool heat swaddle our curtained rooms. Under stalls across town, men hung the purple hams, shaved legs into marble sheets. Transparent, nearly, why no one could see the way that things were waning. Shoppers donned medallions of cheese or unadorned baguettes like swords. Next door, women blanched and tossed sweet almonds into cones. Hot funnels spotted with olive oil anointed us all in abundance. Not to mention stone fruit trickling chins or okra's syrupy threads. Pickled and ribbed rows and canned just so I couldn't stand opening them. I knew that I could learn to relish. It was tomorrow's plan. Although some things can't wait for tomorrow, like standing alongside those facing unjust systems, dehumanization, or outright hate. And so this piece comes out of or stems from the intersectional nature of most struggles and aims to stand alongside. This is called Light Dark Meat, and it has an epigraph, which is now, it's a pre-pandemic epigraph, so it might even be a little out of date. Light Dark Meat. According to the National Crime Information Center, nearly 40% of those who have disappeared, often in suspicious circumstances, are Black, including an estimated 64,000 women. I can undress myself to skeleton, let my collarbone become a hanger, or turn my shoulders to angle. At every junction, I know the risk in taking too much space. There should be enough room on the walk for work boots, wingtips, my New Balance not thrown off. Instead, I become chicken. And not like how my mama calls me, but cooped inside a game of it and slick as bone-close flesh. A man jostles my stride to the street, no shoulder on which to move. As happens when I'm in the groove, running to hip hop and not thinking of trucks close by, of how they'd like to brush my side, pin my hips to a bed, since the crisscross straps of the black sports bra I've stripped to in humidity have me trapped as catchable, squeezable. I'm always running, less shredding than shedding to sinew, for less to grab as I pass. I like a little curve in my sugar, Granddaddy'd say, Grandmama not lifting her gaze up from the pail of lady peas, shelling in shade so as not to spot, her face darkening at me, lacing up my shoes. Carry on that way, you'll brown like you've been out in some fields, no telling what condition you get in. For an instant now, I slap myself for cooling off, for smiling too. The whistle call hitches between my breasts and somehow pushes me faster. As breath through two fingers knifes sound, I found a double edge, here. How I can blend an emergency, duck unquestioned into the chevron, hover, piss, maybe purchase a stick of gum, maybe not, but slip unnoticed back to the light, with hands at my waist like trophy handles, waiting but not ready for the pinch. Quick from a man with earbuds who steps in time with chirps from the curb, and I must lap him once again with soul's my only comeback. I feel his eyes tug my elastic, spank my thighs. No, I am no longer shadow. Convinced if he grabbed all of me, I would at least count as prize, as object of attention. As in, someone would object if I didn't make it home and word go out and then search parties. Still, I want unseen. But drawstringing my hood to hide has the same effect as a child who puts fingers over his eyes to not be pinned, blamed. I can, for wanting to shed my skin like a drenched cotton shirt to turn its bronze peel inside out, revealing pink and teachable muscle, but never having learned a thing of blood or the ways to keep it pumping, to rip a target from my chest, but not fall through the cracks. No one adds my name to a list of runaways, and yet the webs of my feet have fanned double wide, unlike my hips or tamped down spine. I have the luxury to blush, freckles the only marks I'll bear, so must have substance enough to shadow, with each ghost to stride, flush. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Kate. All right, our next reader is Michael Todd Edgerton. Todd Edgerton is a lecturer in the English department at SJSU and is the author of Vitreous Hide. His poems have appeared previously as the winner of the Boston Review and Five Fingers Review contests, and in Coconut, Denver Quarterly, Drunken Boat, EOAGH, New American Writing, New Orleans Review, Sonora Review, and Word for Word, among other journals. Todd holds an MFA in Literary Arts from Brown University and a PhD in English and Creative Writing from the University of Georgia. You can check out Todd's ongoing participatory text and sound project at whatmostvividly.com.
Walking is walking in circles, walking around the Castro, close to home. Walking is walking with my husband, not alone. Walking is walking with my husband's hand in mine, or slightly ahead to take less space on the edge of the sidewalk near the street, on alert, on the watch for others, any others, always looking around and behind for others, and then walking is veering into the street to void a void, vectors, masked and unmasked variables, running without warning by you, walking straight toward you on the sidewalk, walking like a bullet, flying slow-mo, hollow point. It's sin, sing, single mind, id, miss, shun. It's one aim, once fired, to find a play, seed, root, branch, a place to nest, to rest. Missing You, Private Dancer cover, COVID era, part 2. I don't miss escaping our tiny Castro apartment for a patio, a warm afternoon for the price of a $5 cappuccino, worth it to work in the open air on a poem on my $1,200 laptop with a water back, I don't miss delicious dining with veggie plates that prove the vegetal world to be the true realm of the sublime, or is it the culinary arts I don't miss because my husband cooks just fabulously, I was advised to revise, though I do miss going to the grocery for overpriced food at our locally owned neighborhood market, sans anxiety. I do maybe miss my boyfriend I never much cared about being outdoors without a chair and table or a crowd, a party. I should have gone to more parties. Bring a bottle and chat your way around the room, flirt a little bit if it's offered, a little cheese and carbs, a bit of fat. No sweets, please. I'm on a diet. I wish I'd been invited more. I wish we'd been able to afford a bigger place to throw our own. I do miss, it was so good to meet you. Let's totally hang out soon and wanting, I guess, but never needing, never getting around to it or some such, though it was just that real. I don't miss going to poetry readings, bookstores, libraries, discovering the luminously singular pleasures of a person's erotic, melancholic, philosophical, bodily, political, troubling of lines, like a new language I instantly knew I had to know. I mean, there's always Barnaby Ignoble and AmazingDisgrace.com. They're so convenient, so cheap, so fast, and time is. I don't even think I miss lavishly frittering away a day meandering SF MoMA when we had my educator's cheaper dual membership, walking around the meditation pool, the soundtracks show, ceramic bowls, color of cream and moonlight, floating over, tourmaline blue, chiming their happenstance music. So many slow-mo bumper cars, various sizes, variegating tones, each sparkling new movement, energy, in response, in collision. I sat, circled the rim, gazed, a reflection pool. I took video to go. And then the electromagnetic sculpture that transmutes your presence into a whine. The closer, the louder, the buzz it hums your movements, invisible, recurring pulsings, synthesizer sounds. The dancing body exchanges air with earth. Theremin in headphones, head, hands, torso, jouncing, weaving these long waves. Now zip, zip, zip of the neck, an improvised jig enthrall to the notes it's calling forth. My own Cajun composition for, of, with me, myself, a form of exorcism for, of, with me, myself, and John and Merce would have loved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. That was wonderful. Our next reader is Alan Soldowski. Alan directs the creative writing program in the Department of English and Comparative Literature and is the coordinator of the MFA program in creative writing. His field is contemporary poetry and poetics. As a poet, critic, and literary programs organizer, he has been active in the Bay Area poetry community since 1973. His most recent poetry collection is In the Buddha Factory. He is also co-editor with poet David Cohn of Compendium, a collection of thoughts on prosody by Donald Justice. In addition, he has published 3 chapbooks of poems, most recently a chapbook that includes a selection of poems by his son, the poet Adam Soldowski, Holding Adam, My Father's Books. Here's Alan.
This poem is called Why We Keep to Ourselves. It was written before the pandemic, and it's in my collection called See Something, Say Something, which is yet to be published. Because our names no longer say what we are, we make signs that declare our lineages. In the camera, our faces are compressed into pixels of rage, while acid wells up in our throats. In the background, an enormous TV plays a faded anthem. Because we're used to staring at our screens, some of us don't notice the weather's turned dangerous. We hardly smell the cinders landing on our shoulders. A few of us wonder when the insects will surpass us, cicadas and sweat bees teeming amid the resinous shadows. Because the sky is full of holes, some believe the Marjorie Glacier will become perforated. That's why we can't stop watching. We aren't sure what happened yesterday. If what happened yesterday is true, or another straw in the wind. Some people have painted messages on bridges, on railings of vintage highway overpasses, and on no parking signs. Because we're not trained to trace history's evanescence, we don't trust our memories. We comb words out of our sleeves, but can't tell if they align with what they mean. Our prayers are usually the wrong ones. What most of us believe isn't official. Because when we go to the park to stroll among the headstones, we wear paper masks. The dew that's fallen has scorched the grass. We brush away the bullet casings. We archive everything, every drop of blood from every killing. But it explains next to nothing, not even who lives beneath the camera's red gaze. And this is a new poem that I wrote for reading today at our poetry reading. It's called To-Do List. Strip the bed before you go out. Wipe down your desk. Get a lamp that casts its beam in broad daylight. Remember, in your absence, the light only gets dirtier. Remember your mask, both of your masks. Remember to choose when to breathe. Put seashells on over your ears. Remember to hear the silence. If you think you'll be in tight spaces, bring a window. Remember, you've come to this fluorescent dungeon for 30 rolls of Charmin. Don't forget the socks rolled up like pill bugs. Don't forget to get a 4-pack of gallon Crystal Geyser spring water. Don't forget, in some cities, tap water will kill you. Don't stop to gawk at lizards smiling in their terrariums. Remember to pick up a print of the Mona Lisa, masked, or was it Whistler's mother? Don't forget to get a security camera with 2 spotlights and a siren. Don't forget where you parked, and if you remembered to put your keys back in your pocket. When you get back, check your phone. Double check the garage doors to see if they are locked. Feed the cat something you've warmed in the microwave just for him. Don't forget to wake him up. Put away the plastic dinosaurs and the bucket of Legos. Check to see if the dishwasher is clean. Put away the dishes you've left in the office and the cup fallen under the couch. Don't forget to check the quarters for quarters that slid beneath the couch cushions. Maybe you'll find the cat's Bluetooth collar that's been missing for 2 years. Check to see if you turned your PC off and if you've left anything you shouldn't have in the bathroom, and if there is any Diet Coke left in the patio cooler. Check to see who's listening when the patio door says it's open. Check who's there in the mirror when you don't see yourself. Check if your mask is off when speaking to the entity or to the algorithm, when there's nothing on this list still left to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Our next reader is J. Michael Martinez. J. Michael will be the newest member of the SJSU creative writing faculty when he begins teaching at SJSU in fall 2021. Really excited to bring J. Michael onto the faculty. His third collection of poems, Museum of the Americas, which was selected for the National Poetry Series and published by Penguin in 2018, was longlisted for the National Book Award. His first book, Heredities, received the Walt Whitman Award from the Academy of American Poets. He is also the poetry editor of Noemi Press. He is currently visiting assistant professor of poetry at St. Lawrence University in upstate New York. Here is J. Michael Martinez.
Hi, I'm J. Michael Martinez, and I'll be reading you some poems from my book Heredities and my book Museum of the Americas. This first poem is Heredities Etymology. When she was 7, my grandmother suffered from fever and swollen glands. The doctors believed her tonsils were inflamed, that she needed surgery. Instead, she went to a curandera. The curandera divined that a jealous relative had cast a curse on her, and now her language of kindness was bound to her throat, the unspoken swelling her glands. As a child, my grandmother spoke with Santitos, with a voice like a chestnut, ruddy and warm, seeds dropping from her mouth. The Santitos would take her words into themselves, her voice growing within them like grapevines. During the tonsillitis, when the words no longer fell like seeds from her lips, the Santitos' vineyards of accent and voice grew vapid, dry as a parched mouth. They went to her tongue and asked why silence imprisoned the words of the child, why lumps were present under her chin, why tears drew channels down her cheeks. I asked my grandmother how her tongue replied. After touching my cheek, she told me she had a dream that night. She was within her lungs, and she rose like breath through the moist of her throat. She remembered her tonsils swinging before her like fleshy apples, then a hand taking them into a fist, harvesting their sound. She told me her throat opened in 2 spots like insect eyes, and the names of her children came flying through her wounds like peacocks. Patting my thighs, she said, "That's why the name of your mother is Maria, because she is a prayer, a song of praise to the Holy Mother." She told me this, then showed me 2 scars on her throat, tiny scars, like 2 eyelids stitched closed.
All right. Great. So now let me turn things over to Alan Soldowski, who will continue as this our reading's second MC. Alan will introduce you to the staff and alumni poets in tonight's reading.
Thank you, Keenan. That was great for a prose writer. You must have some poetry in you somewhere.
Not a bit.
Thank you.
Not a bit.
You did a great job. Our next reader is a staff member and a former student at San Jose State back in the day when he was still a psych major. That is before he went to CSU Fresno for his MFA. And that's Vuong Quoc Vu, a writer, editor, and publisher of poetry. He's founder of the Terrain Poetry Press and editor of Perfume River Poetry Review. His work has been published widely in such prominent journals such as the Atlanta Review, Poet Lore, and Ziziba. He is working as a graduate admissions and program evaluation student evaluator for the College of Graduate Studies. Here's Vuong Vu.
My name is Vuong Vu, and my poem is Encyclopedia Britannica. Encyclopedia Britannica. I read one summer an entire volume of Encyclopedia Britannica. I read about an explosion over Tunguska in Russia in 1908. Entire forests were leveled to the ground, but the very cause of that blast, meteorite or UFO crash, I never learned. I learned about testosterone and thought how awesome when I finally become a man. How to be a man is to be a Trojan warrior, a victor, like the Roman Emperor Tiberius marching into the barbaric heart of Europe, into the Teutonic hinterland with sword and armored torso. Yet I also adored flowers, and I read and I reread about toad lilies, tulip mania, and trillium, which blooms with 3 petals, a triptych, a triad, a holy trinity, like the 3 stripes of the French flag, the tricolore. In pictures, I saw how the French kept lovely cities, Tours, Toulouse, Toulon, but they lost a colonial city in Vietnam they called Touraine. My family also lost a city in Vietnam, a place so distant to us it is terra incognita on a map. But what did I know? What did I know about loss? There I was, reading about the Tet Offensive and not realizing it was our war, our own blood spilled. My family barely escaped, smoke still black in her lungs. Oh, sweet, simple boy I was. What did I know? What could I have ever known about the travails of life, the Herculean trials of love? Tachycardia, I thought, was the worst that could happen to the human heart. All that golden summer, I curled up with the encyclopedia and lost myself in a vast universe of its pages. When I was alone, I whispered to myself new words I learned: tetanus, tinnitus, tintalis. How I love those metallic sounds. I don't think as a child I was ever lonely.
Thank you, Vaughn. That was a tremendous poem. Julia Dunn is next. Julia is another staff member here at SJSU. She earned her MFA in creative writing. Primarily, we're focused on nonfiction, but also in poetry as her secondary focus from San Jose State University in 2019. And she previously studied literature at UC Santa Cruz. Her poetry is often fragmented by design and is inspired by that of Kelly Sherman and the great Leslie Scalapino. Take it away, Julia Dunn.
Standing on the shore across from San Francisco, I point out a barge that you can't see through a fog bank. Still, you ask me what I think about the barge, and I say I don't quite care for it. We leave the dock and carve a trail into the ice plant with our feet as we walk home, breathing quietly into our masks. Everyone's hobby these days is avoiding each other and feeling relief after each successful moment of doing so. The sunset spilling over the fog bank is shrill and warm. The sight of 9 p.m. on the clock when we get home will also be shrill, but not warm. 9 p.m. is a warning signal that 9 a.m. is imminent. Working in a pandemic is like wet watercolor, bleeding everywhere. During a virtual training, I clench my body into a pixel and imagine it multiplied by a factor of 800. The training leader yawns at his own agenda and gets up for water, turns off his camera. People are typing about popsicles into the chat. People are raising electronic hands. People are disconnecting. Few are connecting. Working in a pandemic is like wet watercolor, bleeding everywhere, asking for help, but hardly feeling content in the answers. I met a new dentist named Eric during quarantine. He walked into the clinic with his mask on, then flashed his face, saying, "Hi, this is what I look like," before snapping his mask back on. It was both amusing and bizarre. I can't remember the last time I saw someone's nose while they were speaking to me. March 2020 becomes a thin line, a puff of dust from the erasure of our previous life. The walk home from the dentist is shrill and warm, and I resent the sweat gathering inside the mask that protects me. I daydream about an evening in the dishwasher, rinsed by ceaseless water and detergent. Daydream about having known 12 months ago what would come, to have been able to see the heavy barge through the fog, and to have known its slow and unmistakable direction. This next poem is called The New World, and it's modeled after Kelly Sherman's recent poetry book with the same name. The New World is a body filled with sand, a modicum of relief attached to a slowly sinking anchor. I find myself ill with the notion that my personal email is a treat to look at, a reward, merely because it isn't my work one. At home for days, I light a candle whose scent is called fear of missing out, and sit on Zoom in meetings that absorb me gradually until I am cardboard in front of the camera. By 5 o'clock, fuzzy quadrants of lukewarm light frame my workspace, and the tips of the trailing pothos plant beside me grasp for something to hold on to.
Our next reader, let's see if I'm unmuted. Here we go. Our next reader, Laura Gillard, lives and writes in the Sierra foothills of California. She earned an MFA in poetry from San Jose State in 2006. Her book, Kissing the Bee, was published in 2017 by the Bitter Oleander Press. Her poetry depicting her Azorian heritage may be found in the Gavea Brown Book of Portuguese American Poetry. Hope I said that right. Gillard's work has appeared widely in journals and magazines and has been included in many national and regional anthologies. And here's some exciting news. She is, as of May 1st, going to be the next poet laureate of El Dorado County. Hooray, Laura.
I'm reading a poem called To Dream Away Station. I know the theme is closing the distance, sheltering in technology. My poem kind of escapes from technology and the hardship that of the times right now into a fantastical, rather, escape. And my poem is called To Dream Away Station. Her life lifted, dropped on a foreign coastline, no borders from land to sea. Under a gray whale of sky, the sea greets her as a refugee, her past in a suitcase among snapshots. Where she comes from, the temple in ruins, and a Die for Freedom event. The sea overflows fishmen with big lips. They slide limply onto shore, seeking refuge from that place where the Kraken swims. In a secret language of exile, she speaks to the Finmen with a long exhale. When darkness comes, weary stars lose their glow over an exhausted earth. My next poem, California's Golden Hills, relating to the California fires. The looting of trees by October winds, lightning strikes dry grass, wires down and sparking. Screaming wind gusts make trails in the air for fire to travel. Roads enter fleeing people, unwind down the center of their lives. Shadows run from soul burning by red smoke. The extinct brown bear bellows from the voice of an old woman. Those too close to the heat and nowhere to fall ascend into air, a fiery lightness of being. When the rains come, a survivor with a singed beard and a yellow slicker shovels seed into sod. Thank you.
Our next reader is Linda Lappin. Linda worked for 18 years as a technical writer in Silicon Valley before returning to San Jose State University to earn an MFA in poetry in 2007. She's now retired after working 13 years as a lecturer here in the English department. She is a board member for the Recovery Cafe and a reader for Jura, the journal published by Poetry Center of San Jose. And here she is, Linda Lappin.
Because nobody would really sequester for very long, right? So I got caught up on little projects, moved or hung pictures, paintings, packed up books for a library sale, which hasn't happened yet, rearranged some stuff, sat back and thought, that's better. The rest of 2020 could be called, what next? Or why bother? Lightning, exciting, so entertaining, burned down miles of California's beautiful forests and lots of people's homes. And the sky was a deep orange. Now, that was interesting. Even wrote a little haiku for the occasion. Beginning of the pandemic shutdown. 'Twas March 17th. Dark green beer overflowing. The last happy hour. But emptiness continued with Westerners contemplating impermanence. Up close and en masse, at last count over 500,000 dead in the US. Millions of folks in deep tension over losing a place to sleep or keeping kids and food and online. After hours reduced, jobs lost, and so many newly sober folks dropped back into oblivion because why not? You won't lose your job, you can't even get one. So why get out of bed days and weeks and months, and in the end, if there is an end, we may ask, what day is it?
Our next reader, Carmen Jimenez Smith, was born in New York City and is the daughter of South American immigrants. A Canto Mundo Fellow, she earned a BA in English from San Jose State in 1994 and an MFA in creative writing from the University of Iowa's Writers' Workshop. She writes lyric essays as well as poetry and is the author of the poetry chapbook Casanova Variations and the full-length collection Odalisque in Pieces, the memoir Bring Down the Little Birds on Mothering, Art, Work, and Everything Else. Her 2013 collection, Milk and Filth, was a finalist for the National Book Critics Circle Award. She published Cruel Futures, a volume in the 2018 City Lights Spotlight series. And her latest collection, Be Recorder, published just last year, was shortlisted for both the National Book Award and the PEN Open Book Award. Here she is, Carmen Jimenez Smith.
My name is Carmen Jimenez Smith, and I will be reading a poem called Like an Auto-Tune of Authentic Love. I'm watching an old movie in one corner of my laptop, and in another, the shadows nesting in your neck, the flickering frequencies of your sweater. And remember the Jack Nicholson tagline in that movie we almost watched, then decided against, fearing the little taser of misogyny. You make me want to be a better person. Sometimes the only thing I want to say is marry me, even though we both think marriage is archaic and weird, or at least for us. It's not marry me I want to say, but rather weld with me like a net we also sit in. Oh, FaceTime face and shadow neck and the almost synced sound of our shared watching. You have a list of things that are going to be the death of you, and so do I, which we cover in our debriefings. All of this to say that distance makes my heart go farther into the terrain of heartfelt, and I love it, how ordinarily classifiable it is, like feeling literal, figurative butterflies in your stomach, the good being fundamental. Surprising love can happen at any part of one's life, like the pixels deciding when to flicker into bursts. Thank you.
And tonight's final reader is Arlene Bayala. Arlene Bayala is a Pine poet and performance artist born in San Francisco and raised in the South Bay. She's been participating in poetry performances and workshops in the Bay Area for over 30 years and was poet laureate of Santa Clara County for 2016 and 2017. She's the author of Bone, her first chapbook of poetry, published in 1993, Continental Drift, published by West End Press in 1999, and her Beckoning Hands, published by Word Poetry in July 2004 and winner of the 2015 American Book Award. Her latest book, One Inch Punch, was published by Word Poetry in October 2018. She received her MFA in Poetics and Writing from New College of California and her BA from San Jose State University, where she was inspired by working with poets like the late Virginia de Araujo. Here is Arlene Biala.
We came in waves. The first set rolled onto shore at Morro Bay in October 1857. Sneaker waves who staked across as false claim to the land that's been home to the Chumash people for thousands of years. We came in waves as war brides, young Pinoys enlisted in the US Navy. We rolled in waves of future Manongs to Seattle, Stockton, and Delano, flooding into fields, dance halls, and the I Hotel in Manila town. We spun our dreams in the whitewash and got spit back out to sea. Stranded by high tide of those signs screaming absolutely no Filipinos allowed. Sucked in by shimmering lies of gold-paved streets, we dog-paddled petitions for our wives, our brothers and sisters to plunge into this promised land. And we learned quickly how to hold our breath, to dive deep beneath the surface with our lungs bursting as we became nurses, not doctors, and worked in the fab lab in clean suits. We alternated day, swing, and graveyard shifts every 3 weeks. We surfed Sugar Pie de Santo and Al Robles, Jaime Jacinto and Dr. Don Mabalon. We swam in schools of Jabberwockies and Jeprocks, Santa Clara Pinais and B-girls. We got snagged in the tangle of middle school cholas and white rocker chicks, yet somehow ripped the hooks from our own mouths to break free. At springtide, we hide our depression. We drink Henny, speed to Cache Creek, buy too many quick picks. We see everything pooling, crawling, with nowhere to go. We learn to listen. This is not an ocean lullaby. This is the riptide of Yemaya's oscillating skirt. Encanto sliding us over shifting plates, over pelagic memory. We are the necessary source of disturbance, the only way to breathe simple harmonic motion into the lungs of those to come. Thank you.
Well, that has been our poetry reading for this evening. You've been watching readings by San Jose State University faculty, staff, and alumni at the San Jose State Legacy of Poetry Festival. Aren't they terrific? Let's give them a big virtual round of applause. Whoop, whoop. The festival is presented by the Poets and Writers Coalition here at San Jose State University, and associated with San Jose State University Associated Students and the San Jose State University Department of English and Comparative Literature. The festival's many events are co-sponsored by the Diasporic People's Writers Collective, Read Magazine, oldest continuously published college literary magazine west of the Mississippi, Poetry Center San Jose, in association with Poets and Writers, Inc., and Poetry Flash, the literary calendar and newsletter for California and the West. Before you go, let me tell you about some events happening tomorrow, April 17th. Please join us at 3 o'clock when we present a reading by students and alumni members of the Poets and Writers Coalition, featuring a reading by Rochelle Escamilla, author of Imaginary Animal, which was recipient of the 2014 Willow Books Literature Award for Poetry and the 2019 collection, Me Drawing a Picture of Ben. And at 4 p.m., we present a reading by members of the Diasporic People's Writing Collective. To learn more about the San Jose State University Legacy of Poetry Festival events, click on the link that you see on the screen in front of you and that we've dropped into the chat. This is Alan Soldowski, executive producer of San Jose State's Legacy of Poetry Festival, wishing everyone a good, safe, and happy evening. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye.